A belief is simply a thought that you have practiced a lot. And you've practiced it so much that it gains momentum and feels like the truth. And that's what rules our lives behind the scenes, right? Like we don't even know that we have all these beliefs that are ruining our lives.
It's the Inspiration Place podcast with artist Miriam Schulman. Welcome to the Inspiration Place podcast, an art world insider podcast for artists by an artist, where each week we go behind the scenes to uncover the perspiration and inspiration behind the art. And now, your host, Miriam Schulman.
All right. Hello, everybody. It's Miriam Schulman and Jule Kim here today. I am author of the book Artpreneur and host of the Inspiration Place podcast. Jule Kim is how would you first phrase yourself, a life coach? Would that be your main title?
Executive coach.
I love that. There's definitely a difference. Executive coach. She is a specialist in imposter syndrome. And she also created this affirmation deck, which I have right here, called Self-Love Affirmations and Reflections. Oh my gosh, we have so many people who are here today. So Anna, could you just write in, or everybody, could you share in the comments where you're from? And if you're from my community, let us know what kind of art you do. And if you're from Jule's community, Jule, who are your people?
My people are also mostly creatives.
Fantastic. All right, my creative friends, everybody just share what kind of creative you are. And I always love to hear where you are in the world. So we cannot see the comments because no, I can see the comments here. Oh my gosh, I see so many of our friends are here. Christy, who's an abstract painter from St. Paul, Minnesota. We have Marie from Canada, Tammy from Virginia, who does poured watercolor paintings. We have Paula from New Mexico. This is going to be so much fun. There are a lot of people here live already. All right. So I'm super curious to hear, Jule, like, how did you come to create this?
It's not like a super exciting story.
Yes, it is. Do you know how many people in my audience would die to like say, yes, I have created an affirmation deck?
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase. And by the way, I did hear you say earlier that there's no bio on the back of the box. Yes, I wish my bio were there. It's actually on that little insert on the
this one.
Yeah. No.
So,
like there's a box, like a spacer box. That's where my bio is. It's got my picture.
I know. Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. So by the way, they did call you a life coach.
Yeah. That's okay.
Our guest today is a certified life coach dedicated to helping women feel more comfortable in their own skin. As a Korean American who grew up in Alabama, Jule struggled with confidence and people pleasing. In this self-love deck, she draws upon the learnings from her own journey, as well as her work with hundreds of clients. Jule is a UC Berkeley graduate who currently resides in Seattle with her husband, Jason, and their 18-year-old cat, Tabitha. We love cats.
Yeah, unfortunate update, not to be a downer. My cat did pass away in the in-between phase when this was off at the printers and when they actually came out. So she's no longer with us.
I did see that face. And when you said not to be a downer, I was so afraid something happened to your husband. But I'm also sorry that something happened to, to your cat. But like, I was preparing for something much worse. Like, well, you did know that, didn't you? Like, no. You can find her on Instagram and TikTok. It's at Jules Kim or adviceactually.com. Okay, so tell us the story that you think is boring, but everybody else is fascinated.
Okay, so maybe not boring. I think it was a little bit of my imposteriness kicking in here.
Yeah. See, we teach what we most need to hear, right?
Yes. So I've had lots of people reaching out asking me, how did I make this happen? And it's a little bit of that I got lucky feeling because I kind of did. And I think the issue here is that's okay. Sometimes those things happen and there's nothing wrong with that. So how this happened is back in the day in 2020, someone reached out to me from HarperCollins. And this deck is not from HarperCollins, okay? It's from Penguin Random House. But someone reached out to me because...
Okay, wait, record scratch. Okay, first of all, those are both top 10 publishing houses or top 5. So whatever luck you had, because someone reached out to you, you obviously created a platform significant enough that it caught their attention. So can you like at least congratulate yourself for that?
Yes. And that's part of the story too. So I
Okay.
think in 2020, HarperCollins was building their influencer program. And one
Okay.
of their people reached out to me and asked if I wanted to join. And I was like, yes, like shut up. Yes, already.
Right.
and so this person then moved on to Penguin and had kept an eye on my Instagram journey. So in that in between time, I'd grown like 20,000 followers or so. So they reached out to me saying, hey, we're looking to launch a new project and it's like the first of its kind. And we were wondering if you'd be interested. She was like, they asked if they could put my name up for it. And I was like, of course. So they had me do writing sample just to make sure it was a vibe fit. And it was, here we are today. Yeah.
That's fantastic. How many people do you have on your Instagram channel that made it so that they were like, yes?
Not as many as yours. So I think when they found me, I was around 21,000. And my TikTok is a little bit bigger. So TikTok is around 29,000.
Okay.
But yeah, and I don't think they were even aware of the TikTok channel at that point. So,
okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, good for you. Okay. So first of all, we're going to talk just about your cards. How long did it take you to develop them? And I do want to answer a question that I did see in the chat. So see, they're very pretty. I have a feeling that the art director at Penguin designed the colors and everything though, right? Okay. How long did it take you to develop this?
I think the total process of the back and forth with like writing everything, getting back and forth from my editor, it took around 7 months, 7 to 8 months, I
Okay.
believe. So not terrible, but at the same time, when you think about like the amount of content that's on these cards, so it's you have a front, but then you also have the back, which is where the meat is.
Yeah.
And in theory, if you've got like 52 of these cards and then a couple of intro cards, it doesn't sound like a lot of content. Well, let me tell you, it's so much harder to write something that's short instead of like
It
a
is.
whole like one book. And also the context switching, that was really challenging for me. So I had so many meltdowns. And I remember thinking during that process, like I got so mad at my editor multiple times.
Me too.
And then I would feel bad about getting mad at the
Yes.
editor. And so then I would apologize. and then I would have like multiple I must have seemed like a crazy person to my editor.
Don't worry, I was a crazy person. And talking about imposter syndrome. So for some reason, probably because I was just naive and stupid, I didn't think that getting a book contract was going to be a big deal. And probably that's why I got it, because I never thought it was hard. Like in my mind, of course I can get a book contract. Once I signed the contract, from then till it was published, I thought everyone had made a huge mistake. I was like, oh, they made a huge mistake. I'm never going to be able to do this. And even when I was completely done with all the rounds of the edits, like it had gone through developmental editing, 3 rounds of copyright editing, and it was ready to go to the printer. And I was like, I really should just give them back the advance because nobody at HarperCollins likes my book. Like, this is not the thing. All right. So I used her deck, and I want to share with the artists and the creatives in the community how I used it. So what I did was I would almost treat them like oracle cards, and I would pull one out. And so let's say it said, I embrace the full me. Is that focused? That's not the one I pulled that day. I pulled a different one. I pulled, I forgive myself for past mistakes. So what I did was I created it inside of my art journal. A lot of people know that so this is my regular planner, which we did have linked inside of the carousel. And what I do is I create art journal spreads with these affirmation statements, things that I need, thoughts that I need to practice to internalize them, to make them beliefs, because a belief is really just a habit of thought. And the way you change your beliefs is to practice a new thought. So the way I practice new thoughts is I put them in the journal. And because I'm an artist, it relaxes me to color. I do my own bubble letters. We've linked in all the products that I like to use. So I write in a black gel pen. I fill them in. Right now, my favorite pens are these Karen Deco brushes. They're really nice. They're basically acrylic pens. And you can see that I also like to embellish things like that. And I have a place for my goals. I have a place for my wins. The reason nothing's filled out here is because this is for end of June. So that is how I was using Jule's cards. Maybe, Jule, you can tell us other ways people can use the cards, because I see inside of here there are ideas for self-love rituals inside the deck.
Well, first, I love what you did, which was to write it out yourself. And so the data shows us that it's not the same as to read something, and it's definitely not the same to type out something. There's something magical that happens in our brain when we actually take the time to write on it. And then you even embellished and you created a little art piece in of itself. So that was fantastic. And the other thing that I noticed that you said, I swear, it's like we're on the same wavelength, the universe, because I started reading your book, and let me tell you, this thing is fantastic. I'm like, where was this book when I needed it when I was a photographer? Like, this is exactly the kind of thing I needed. And the thing that you just said, I literally said to one of my clients on Tuesday, like this week, 2 days ago. I asked her, do you understand what a belief is? A belief is simply a thought that you have practiced a lot. And you've practiced it so much that it gains momentum and feels like the truth. And that's what rules our lives behind the scenes, right? Like, we don't even know that we have all these beliefs that are ruining our lives. And that was exercise. So when we have these cards, okay, I'll tell you, I had a freaking major imposter syndrome moment when they reached out to me and they asked me for the writing sample, because the first thought in my mind was, oh my God, I'm the wrong person. Like, I'm not a lovey-dovey person. They should go ask Brene Brown. That was literally my first thought. So I did the thing. Most imposter syndrome people, or people who sort of, let's say, experience recurring challenges with the imposter experience, there will be this urge to run away from an opportunity. And that's what I have suffered from most of my life, is the urge to either reroute the opportunity to somebody else, or to, like, I'll just shut down. Like, you'll see me disappear, like, or you used to see me disappear off the face of the earth for like weeks. But when we're talking about this, the second thought that popped into my mind was, no, I hate affirmations. I had a major problem with affirmations my entire life, and it's because they felt like lies. They felt like pretty little lies I was just telling myself. And this is why I love this product so much when they approached me for it, because I'd already been thinking through making something just like this when they approached me. And how I like to think about it is, the problem for most people with affirmations is it's too far of a leap. From where you are now, it's too big of a leap. You need some stepping stones in between to help you get there. That's what this back portion is for. So if we're talking about what are other ways you can use these cards, I would say use these cards as conversation starters with your friends. Go take these to group experiences. Like, I know you have a membership. So
so the accountability pods, those of you who are inside my artist incubator, this may be something you want to use inside the pods. Go ahead, Jule. This is so much fun.
Yes, that's literally what I was thinking about. Like, your accountability pods, or when people do breakout rooms, is to do like a short discussion of everybody goes around and they share their thoughts, their reactions, and there's no judgment, right? Because there's no such thing as a bad or invalid reaction. Your reaction is yours. So before these actually released, because they came out on Halloween last year, I debuted the cards privately at a retreat in Belgium. So I used these in like a guided meditation in a group of, I think, 8-10 people. And it was amazing. So we gathered around in a circle, we closed our eyes, we lied down, and everybody's heads were toward the center. So we were like, spokes in a wheel. And then we weren't looking at each other, which is what I thought made the experience interesting, because we're talking, but we're not looking at each other. And so for me, it was a more open and expansive experience.
Beautiful. I wanted to circle back to something you said earlier, just so that everyone listening understands. So sometimes affirmations that people will use is let's use weight loss. Okay. So if you were saying, I'm thin, I'm thin, I'm thin, your brain's going to go, no, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. But when I wanted to lose more weight, the type of affirmations I was writing and what I still work on is I love to drink water. Water is my favorite beverage. So I can convince myself of that and the things that would lead to something that would help me. So in terms of being prosperous or being creative in your business, it is not I'm rich or I'm a millionaire, because you're like, no, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. But my income is constantly increasing, or creative ideas are always coming to me. Money flows to me in unexpected ways. So those are some kind of bridge thoughts that you can practice using that will help you finally get to the result you want. You can't just affirm a result that isn't quite true, because that's going to cause cognitive dissonance and your brain will know that's wrong.
Yes. So the stepping stones in between are really important. And I love what you did with the I love water. That's what I tell my clients. I was like, if the thing you're trying to believe is too far, then pick something you know to be true. So I'm guessing you're familiar with a model. Is that right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's one piece in there, the thought. So when you go to the new thought, I put in a requirement for my clients. I say, you must be able to believe this new thought with the strength of a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. Anything less is not going to do. So it has to be something that you truly believe to be the truth. So the I love water, or something even with the money. If not, like my income is constantly increasing, at least I know how to make money and I can make money. So find the things that you know to be true that you can build upon. And that's the bridge. Like that's the whole bridging process to get to this other side.
So the artists who are inside the artist incubator, they have learned the model through our resident mindset coach, who has been trained by Brooke Castillo in the life coach school. But for those who are not familiar, it basically is cognitive behavior therapy. So the concept of there are circumstances in the world, we have thoughts about them. The thoughts that we have about them create our feelings, and our feelings are what drive our actions, and our actions are what lead to our results. And I do talk a lot about this inside Artpreneur with very specific examples of how this affects you as a creative person. So if there is a circumstance and your thought is, I can't lose weight, that is not a helpful thought. And I realized actually I was doing that last year. I kept complaining, I'm menopausal, I can't lose weight. And I said, oh, wait a minute. Every time I complain, it's a negative affirmation. So that's why you have to be very careful about the sentences you say in your mind. So Jule, I just want to change gears just slightly. I do have, in addition to your product, I ordered the other ones. So one thing I did like about this imprint that published you at Penguin is it is multicultural. I do love that, they have you. They also put out this book, which I've been going through, not using it, but just seeing what I thought of it. Self-love workbook for Black women. So there's some things that apply to everybody, but there's some things that are more specific to women of the Black community. And so I thought this was really nice that they included this in their suite of products. This is just the regular self-work book for women. And then there is a journal as well. So there was a whole suite of things that are together.
I was reading the beginning of your book and I didn't realize we had so much in common. Oh. Your background, right? So what's your degree in?
Engineering.
Okay. And I have a degree in math. And then from what I was
reading, of course you do, because we're Asian and Jewish.
Yeah. But it's crazy to me, given what you do, what you used to do, because you used to be one of those the algorithm programmers or something, right? For Wall Street.
Yeah. Did you see the movie The Big Short?
Yes.
Okay. So the nerdy guys, that was me. That's what I did. I would do like the computer programming for models.
I know that blew my mind. So
Did you do that too? Did you do his Wall Street too? Aftermath?
no, I didn't do. See, that's what I would have done had I been smart. But I went off to law school and then I was a law school dropout. So
Oh, okay. So in other words, you impressed your parents in many different ways. Like you did the math major and you got a law degree.
I
Right?
dropped out, didn't get the law
Oh,
degree.
okay.
So yeah. So that's part of what I think really pressures us as artists. Like when you're talking about embracing becoming an artist, there were so many parts I identified with, which is why I was like, where was this book when I needed it? Like even owning the identity of being an artist. You know, I left Amazon in 2016 and I was still saying I left Amazon like a year later. I had such a hard time with just saying I'm a photographer. It was incredibly hard for me. And I would stutter, I would blush, and I would turn hot. It was just so uncomfortable. And in my mind, it's because one, I hadn't gone to school for photography. So definite imposter syndrome. In the Asian culture, for you to be something or be somebody in a profession, you must have gone to school for it. And so I remember even when I was doing photography, my dad was like, maybe you should go to school for photography. And then I told him, oh man, I found out that there's a master's in photography. And my dad was like, you should definitely do that. And you know what
Okay.
stopped me, which is surprising, was my husband. So 2016, I started watching classes on Creative Live. I'm assuming you know that platform. Okay.
I do. Yeah.
Everything I've learned about photography is through Creative Live. I didn't have any in-person teacher. It was all from watching courses there. And I asked my husband, I was like, I think I should go to art school and learn photography. And he was like, no, not worth it. And he said, you're probably learning everything you need and more. You're probably learning more than what you would learn in art school through what you're doing now.
Yeah. I mean, you learn more from just doing things. Like there's no course on how to do an Amazon Live correctly. Sometimes you just have to do things because that's how you're going to learn. Even if it feels scary, you just have to do it anyway. So,
Well, that's the lesson that I think people mostly refuse to learn. So I have another story is, okay, so my husband saves me from going to art school, which yes, I didn't need. But then the next thing that I was cycling through, which is totally typical of imposter syndrome that I didn't know. So when I was going through photography in the worst years, the first 2 years, I made no money. It was just like a freaking expensive hobby. I was stuck in the cycle of watching classes because I felt like I didn't know enough. And to be a photographer, it does require a lot, right? Like you have to learn the aesthetics, you have to learn the technical skills, you have to learn lighting. And if you do people like I did, you have to learn posing. There is a lot to learn for sure. But then this is the next point where my husband, you know, he's holding my feet to the fire. One day he asks me, when are you going to take photos? I was just like, ouch. But it's the
oh
truth.
my gosh.
And so when we're talking about imposter syndrome, there are 5 major ways it tends to manifest in people. And one of the ways is called the expert type. So this is the person who feels like they need to take all the classes, get all the certifications. They must know everything there is to know before they can go out and do the thing. And the thing that really helped change my mindset at the time, because I still didn't realize this was imposter syndrome, my husband then tells me about this experiment. You've probably heard of this photography experiment with a professor in school, I'm assuming. Yeah?
Well, I don't know what it is until you tell it, but go
Okay.
ahead.
So there's a professor, I think it's in college. He has a class on photography. First day of class, he divides up the students into 2 halves. Okay, so there's a left side and a right side. One group is told that their grade is just going to rest on the sheer number of photos they turn in. So if they turn in 100 photos, they get an A. They turn in 90, they get a B, etc. The other group is you can turn in one photo and your entire grade is going to rest on that one photo. So it's the quantity versus quality experiment, right?
Yeah.
He gets all the projects turned in and he is shocked. All of the best work is coming from the quantity group.
Yeah. I did
Hands
hear the
down.
story before, but I didn't want to stop you because our people we kind of know they're there, but we're not really sure, they haven't heard it yet. And that's a great lesson. Okay. So apparently the stream did stop working on Amazon, according to the app. I don't know why. Ann and I will figure it out for the next time. But we do have some things we want to share. So, of course, we're going to put the affirmation deck in there, the self-love journal, the self-love workbooks. And then if anybody wants to plan, doing the planning, I've been using this for years, like literally going back 11 years, this style planner. So there's a lot of stuff there. We've linked up the pens that I use. We've linked up the markers that we use. We've linked up the water bottle. I also just wanted to share one thing because I know a lot of my friends ask for organization tips. I got these boxes off of Amazon and they come in a set of 3. One of them is for my keys by the front door. This one hides all the remotes, but my favorite box, and these all live on my coffee table, by the way, except for the ones with the keys. So what I do is when I'm in front of the TV, that's literally when I am doing some of these journal exercises, because goal achievement is a spiritual, non-conscious exercise. So even if your conscious brain is engaging with a movie or talking to your partner or whatever, if you're doing something like coloring in a word, your non-conscious brain is paying attention to that. So that's why I think doing something like writing and doing what I do with the bubble letters, it is so powerful. Like this is my one from 22. So you can see I actually do it right on top of my original plans. You can see my to-do lists are there. And I just let that be a layer in the mixed media.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah. So we were talking about the things about like taking care of your body. So I don't write, I'm thin or I'm going to weigh this, but I honor my body. I take care of myself. Those are the things. Okay. Is there anything else I need to answer in the questions? Put them into Slack for me, Anna. And then what I'm going to do is ask Jule if there's any last words she wants to share before we say goodbye.
I have no last words.
No last words?
Yeah, okay. Other than this was fun. And yeah, maybe we can do this again one day.
Perfect. Hey there, friend. We have created a brand new way to deliver content to you. And yes, this is absolutely free. So what we're doing is every week, I'm going live on Amazon. Yeah, that's a thing. And if you want to check it out, you can head on over to schulmanart.com/live streams. You can either set a notification to join me live on my next live stream, or you can catch up and binge any of the past content. Of course, I'm recommending a couple of things related to what I'm talking about that you can shop on Amazon. But the real point of this is to help educate you on different topics that concern you as an artist. So for example, we're talking about productivity tools. I'm sharing insights on my planning system. I also pull back the curtain on the exact tools I use to film my online art classes. And when I go to museums, I'm even sharing with you what I saw, and you'll get sneak peeks of all that because I'm uploading videos that I took directly at the museums and the galleries. So this is a great way for you to interact with me, get educated, and get some really inspiring content. I hope that you'll come find me over on Amazon. Again, that's schulmanart.com/live streams. All right, my friend. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Until then, stay inspired. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to the Inspiration Place podcast. Connect with us on Facebook at facebook.com/SchulmanArt, on Instagram @SchulmanArt, and of course on schulmanart.com.